Yep.
The royal family have welcomed a baby girl, and Prince William, it seems, is heading back to the hospital after possibly collecting little Prince George. Max Foster is standing by outside the hospital, St Mary's Hospital. Max, it looks like he's got little Prince George in the back there.
Which is a big moment. We haven't seen him at an official engagement for like a year since he was in Australia. So this is the first time the media and the public have seen Prince George in a very, very long time. Today he became a big brother and he's walking, as you can see as well, but he wants to be carried by Dad. He gave it a go, looking at the cameras. This is a picture you're going to see around the world.
Oh, he's adorable. He looks like he's in a matching outfit to his dad.
Moment. Absolutely. A very sweet boy. Lots of blonde hair.
Yeah, clearly
so,
a lot of
fans there. He's
there.
got to see his little sister, to meet his sister for the first time. That's the sort of thing we're expecting. I mean, the question now is, will George come out as a group, for a group photo, a family of four, on the doorstep when the new princess comes out? It seems likely that might happen, and it might be happening very soon. Or they may take George away and come out. But I was quite surprised there to see Prince William present Prince George to this huge media pack. But obviously, he took it in his stride. He's a future king. It must be in his blood.
It certainly must be. He sort of had this adoring crowd waving and cheering to him, and he was very pleased with that response.
Yeah, I mean, you know, kids love bright lights, don't they? And he certainly had that whole thing facing him. It's a massive bank of media. I would find it horribly intimidating, but, you know, maybe he just didn't get what it was. He hasn't seen much of this, so it was interesting to see how he coped. It was very, very calm, and I'm sure he's going to be, you know, it's a key moment in his life, isn't it? He's going to go and meet his little sister for the very first time. I think it seems likely we're going to see all the family today, and they'll be going back to Kensington Palace today. I really don't get the impression that they're going to be staying in overnight, as we expected yesterday.
And Max, just give us an idea about how quickly Prince William could have got to the palace if that's where Prince George was, because it was only a little over 10 minutes ago that we saw Prince William leave the hospital to collect little George. Could he have been staying somewhere closer?
Well, some of us have the benefit, don't we, of outriders and the things. Yeah, I mean, it's very close, you know, in terms of distance, but, you know, with London traffic, it can take a horribly large amount of time. I don't think they had very much traffic on the way. Also, it's a Saturday, so it's clearer roads, but I think the roads might have been cleared for them. I can't confirm that, but I get that feeling. But that was a great little moment to see Prince George. And, you know, we get very little access to Prince George, actually, and we're going to get very little access to this princess as well. So those moments really do live on, and I think those pictures will be on websites around the world. Well, they're there already, aren't they? You've already seen them on CNN.
And we haven't seen Prince George much over the past year and a half of his life. His parents, it seems, have kept, you know, media appearances to a minimal. So this is quite significant today, seeing him there with his father, taking a couple of steps outside the hospital.
Yeah, and also you really see Prince William as that hands-on dad, don't you? I mean, they really are. I mean, if they weren't looking after George directly, they wouldn't have that sort of connection. So, yeah, he's very happy, by all accounts, little boy, and they're a very, very close family. They've got a nanny, they get a lot of help from Carol Middleton, who is the Duchess's mother, but I think as much as possible they are hands-on. And one of the reasons they moved up to Norfolk was that William could be closer to his family whilst he's working in Norfolk as well. So he goes home every night. Kate's effectively a stay-at-home mum. He's a working dad. He's got 2 weeks paternity now under UK law to spend time with his new family, and then he's back to work as a qualified now air ambulance driver, helicopter pilot.
I would have thought as the royal prince he might get more than 2 weeks leave with his new little princess in tow.
Well, apparently he's just taking the statutory amount he's allowed, so that's how sort of down to earth this new family is. I mean, things change, don't they? This is a new generation of royals, and they're reflecting the new generation. I don't think there's a massive change in how royals are being brought up these days, but I think, you know, William in particular and Kate, they're hands-on people and they like to do things themselves, so they feel a bit more normal, don't they, than other royal families in previous generations. It doesn't feel as if we're going to get visits from other members of the family, because we would normally get some sort of notification of that, so that really sort of makes me feel as if they are probably going to come out as well today, relatively soon.
Now, we've seen tweets of congratulations from people all around the world, but we also saw tweets from the British Prime Minister. This, of course, must be good news for the election that's coming up, that this has happened not around the same sort of day as the election, given that this is taking up quite a lot of media coverage in London.
Yeah. Considering I have to cover both events as well. But you know, we are in this election period, so very quickly after the Prime Minister congratulated, but he was very quickly followed up by the other party leaders as well. They were all, you know, there's a small Republican movement in this country, but the momentum very much is behind the royal family right now. So all the party leaders, even the more Republican party leaders, are all sort of supporting the idea that this is a great family moment. They're saying their congratulations to the family. Also, you'll be interested to hear, Linda, that the Prime Minister of Australia has sent his congratulations, the Prime Minister of Canada. These are countries also where Prince George will one day become king. So, unless you know, there's a vote going the other way, but as things stand, he will become king in those countries as well. So a truly global event, a truly global media here, and I think people around the world are going to be tuning in for that big moment when they come out on the steps. We'll get about half an hour's notice of that, and then and you can see the way William paused on the steps with George. I think they're going to give some time to that moment as well. The question and the challenge for Brad on camera as I'm speaking is, will he get a decent image of the baby's face? It's always an impossible thing on these moments, because they're wrapped up in the blanket, aren't they? And we're not high up. But that's the challenge, and I've said it.
And you're going to have to be very quick at ducking down to let your cameraman get that shot. You mentioned...
Absolutely. It's keeping me fit, but I've got a little stool, very comfortable.
I'd hope so, because you're going to be there for a very long time. You mentioned Australia and a few of the other Commonwealth nations passing on their congratulations, and it was only a few years ago, before Kate and William got married, that there was a push for a republic, you know, turning to, you know, the republic push. But it seems that with their wedding and the arrival of George and now the arrival of this princess, there will be more of a push towards the royal family. It seems they're quite an endearing family.
Well, I've travelled the world with them, you know, and I remember particularly with really big stars in places like the US and in Canada and Australia. And you may agree with me, in terms of Australia, there is a significant Republican movement there, unlike in this country. And somehow, many Republicans are also fascinated by these younger royals. So when I saw big crowds in Sydney, for example, there were lots of people who are anti-monarchy, but they're pro-William and Kate and George. So I think there's a slight separation there. I think they certainly have made the monarchy more popular, but I also think where there are countries where there's a Republican movement, they haven't necessarily stopped that. They may have slowed it down a bit, but there's a separation. There's some element of celebrity to the younger royals, which the older ones clearly don't have. And also around the world, I think there's general agreement that the Queen has been a great queen, one of the greatest queens in history. And so while she's on the throne, I think there's going to be a lot of support for the monarchy. The interesting thing will be when she is taken over by Prince Charles, and whether or not he'll have the same sort of support around the world. But we do know that the Queen, William, Kate, Harry, George, they are very popular figures, and I think this princess will be as well. And people will follow very closely how she dresses, how she grows up, and we will hope to get lots of access to her over time, at regular moments, to see how she's growing up. And the first moment, the historic moment, will be on the steps behind me later on today, I think.
And there's already some talk that the arrival of the princess could boost the UK economy. There's figures being tossed around of the fact that she might be able to give the economy $1 billion boost over the next few years, as people start to follow what she wears, as magazines publish her on the front pages, etc.
Certainly, I think a princess would bring more money to the economy than a prince, because the magazines will cover a princess more than they will cover a prince. There's more to talk about. There's the fashion, and it sounds ridiculous, but even toddler fashion, it's a big business. What this baby wears, as what Prince George wore, will sell out. So it does have a big impact. And the princess is more interesting in terms of fashion. Just getting an update here. Okay, the indication there is, so we're now allowed to go back into the road, which suggests that the departure isn't imminent. We have to read between the lines here.
And there's also a lot of discussion about what she may be called. How significant is the name that they choose for their little princess?
Well, it's significant. It's not like you or I choosing names for our children. We just choose the names that we like, don't we? But this has to be in consultation with the Queen as well, because ultimately this princess could become a monarch if if George doesn't take the throne for some reason. So it could potentially be a monarch. So you have to think in terms of the fact that this baby name will be a princess name. It'll be, you know, a next in line name at some point. So potentially a queen's name as well. So it's an important name, and I think the Queen would not necessarily have complete approval. I think William will decide what the name of the baby will be with Kate, but I think he will want the Queen to be comfortable with it as the reigning monarch. He may also discuss it with his father as well, Prince Charles, who will obviously take over from the Queen.
And no doubt many other babies born later this year will perhaps get a similar name, as is the trends that follow the royal family.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was interesting with Prince George. We're expecting that to be the most popular baby name that year, but in the end it wasn't. And I think people were actually thinking, well, you know, you're not going to be able to outshine the future heir to the throne. So I think, you know, I don't think necessarily this baby name will be the most popular name. So, and also, you know, all these people are having babies on the same day. They're probably waiting to hear what this baby's called.
That is a fair point. And tell us about this change in the succession law, which happened obviously before this little girl was born. How could it affect her if she has a baby brother in the future, if another boy is born to the family?
Well, very recently, just a couple of months ago, they changed succession law to take the sexism out of it, which means that it doesn't matter whether you're a boy or a girl. In the past, if there was a girl in the line of succession, she could sort of drop down if she had a younger brother, because he would leapfrog her. It's a very ancient sexist system, but it was very, you know, there's always been a motivation to change it. No one sort of agreed with it anymore, certainly in the countries where the Queen is monarch. But it was very, very complicated because it was built into laws going back centuries. So they had to track back through all sorts of laws going right back to, I think, the year 600. And it was very, very difficult to do. And not just in this country, but also in the 16 other countries where the Queen is monarch right now. So that was a very complicated thing to change, but they did actually do it in time for this baby. So there's no way this baby can be knocked out of the line of succession like she could have done if the law hadn't been brought into place and she had a younger brother.
And so she will be fourth in line to the throne, pushing Prince Harry back yet another place.
Which he'll be thrilled about, by the way. I mean, he had no problem at all when Prince George knocked him down a notch. He's very, very comfortable with it. So I don't think he's got any great need to become the monarch himself. Got some security sweeps going on behind us with the police dogs. Lots and lots of security here, it has to be said. There's sort of van loads of police down there, and the road's been closed off to the public. This is a key moment in British history, and they don't want it disrupted. And apart from that, there's hundreds of media here as well. But we're very well behaved, certainly in the royal pack.
I'm sure you're very well behaved. I'm surprised to see that there's people on bikes and the public kind of passing behind you, given the tough security restrictions where you are.
Yeah, I know, but this is still a working road. You've got the accident and emergency unit there. They need access to that. All the police are doing is making sure they don't stop, so no one can stop as they're going through. There is a crowd of public over there, but sadly they can't really see much. So they can probably see the car coming down, but they're not going to see the car driving off that way. So that's quite frustrating for them. So this is really a big media moment, and there's no lack of media here for you to choose to watch if that's what you want to do. There's a group of royal fans, the super fans we call them, who have been allowed to have a prime position over there, but they deserve it. They've been here for 2 weeks. One of them had his 80th birthday the other day, and it's a cold day.
Yeah, wow, what a fan, an 80-year-old. It's impressive. Max Foster, thank you very much for that update. Stay with us. We'll give you a little break for now. We'll go to Erin McLaughlin, who is outside Buckingham Palace, where no doubt there is a lot of excitement there. Erin, can you hear us?
Hi, Linda. Yes, I can. Let me just tell you, we were all huddled around the television watching that moment when Prince William brought out Prince George and they walked up the hospital steps together. It was truly special to see, reminding many of us of the moment when Prince Charles brought Prince William to the hospital to meet Prince Harry. And the excitement here outside Buckingham Palace really is growing. As you can see behind me, thousands of people have arrived. There's a whole queue just over that way, people lining up for a chance to see the birth announcement. That announcement having the gender of the baby, the weight of the baby, the time of birth, signed by the hospital staff. It's being displayed on the gates of the palace forecourt for the next 24 hours on the very same easel that was used to announce the birth of Prince William as well as Prince George. Joining me now to talk a bit about the historic significance of today is royal historian Kate Williams. Kate, what do you make of all of this?
Well, it's been a really historic day, you know, right from seeing the easel, which has always been a traditional way of announcing the baby before the internet, before everything like that and social media. So this has been a day steeped in history, and what everyone is now asking is, what's the name of the baby going to be? Well, we're not going to find that out today. More likely, probably Monday, because the name is so historically important.
And people
might be the future queen.
Yeah, and people have really strong opinions about what this baby should be named. Alice, Alexandra, what are your views?
Very strong opinions. Alice is the leader. We've got Charlotte up there as well, another royal name. Elizabeth, of course, the name of the Queen. Alice was the name of Prince Philip's mother, also one of Queen Victoria's daughters, and the name of one of Kate's favourite books, which is Alice in Wonderland, which she wrote a thesis on. So there is thoughts about Alice. I think we're going to see Elizabeth probably in there somewhere, and maybe a tribute to Diana in the form of Diana's middle name, Francis. And one thing we do know is there'll probably be three names, like George, Alexander, Louis. So, but everyone's saying now, what's the name going to be? But it's not going to be anything made up or weird or exciting. It was Victoria. She was the first person ever to be called Victoria. Everyone thought that was a rather silly a name. It's going to be a very traditional name, but let's wait and see.
Kate, thanks so much. That's right. We are going to have to wait and see. In the meantime, London is going pink, Linda. The landmarks lit up with the pink colors in celebration of a baby girl.
It's good to see. I didn't get the memo. I'm in blue, but good to see you're in pink. And we look forward to talking to you soon when we have another update on, hopefully, a sighting of the new princess. And just to recap, Prince William returned to St Mary's Hospital in London with little Prince George to meet his new sister. And we'll bring you more on that when it comes to hand. I'm Lynda Kinkade. Stay with us now for a CNN special, the UK 2015 election debate.